Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The ceremony will begin in 5 minutes. The Laguna Beach Lawn Bowling Club was kind enough for us to use the clubhouse. There are restrooms in the back of the building, but we just ask that you stay off the grass. Additional public restrooms are located at the park behind you to the left. And it's going to be hot this afternoon, so please drink water. And at this time, we ask that everybody turn off their cell phones and electronic devices or put them on silent so that it won't interrupt the ceremony. As a reminder to our civilian guests, they should remove their hats during the national anthem and place their right hand over their heart. Guests are asked to ensure that, like I said, that the cell phones are off. And everybody kindly be seated. Thank you. We'll begin in 5 minutes. For parking, beautiful Laguna Beach. For a Veterans Day celebration and the commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the Veterans of Foreign War Post 5868. This morning we are fortunate to have a number of our federal, county, and local elected officials representing Laguna Beach today. It's a remarkable testament to their support and leadership on veterans issues and their love for active duty military and our veterans. With us today, we have Supervisor Lisa Bartlett, Mayor Bob Whalen, Mayor Pro Tem Sue Kemp. Unfortunately, Councilman Blake is traveling today, but he sends his regards. Also in attendance is Judge Dave Carter. Oh, let's have a round of applause for Councilman Reisman. And I messaged Councilmember George Weiss, also a fellow Marine. Colonel Charlie Coulter, United States Marine Corps retired, is our keynote speaker. And Congresswoman Michelle Steele of California will be joining us later in the program as she's starting her day in Seal Beach. Also joining us today is, is Shori here? Sheree? No. We have Police Chief Jeff Calvert. Fire Chiefs Appy Weinart and Andrew Hill. And Marine Safety Lieutenant Joseph Carver. We are honored to have the 1st Marine Division Band conducted by enlisted conductor Staff Sergeant Nathan Doggett. And Bree Burgess Rosen from Mill Square Theater performing for us today. We also welcome the Laguna City Honor Guard with accompanying bagpipes and the Laguna Beach Police, Fire, and Marine Safety Departments. And I'm John Gabbard, the commander of VFW Post 68. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remain standing for colors, the national anthem performed by Bree Burgess Rosen, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the invocation. March on the colors. Arms. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still spangled banner yet wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Order arms. Please join Scout Troop 35 as they lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Present arms.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order arms. Post the colors. The invocation will be delivered by Chaplain Norm Abbott. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
At the corner of Yale and Bryan in Irvine, there's a Northwood Memorial that lists about 7,000 brave young men and women that were killed and died in Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan. Almost all of them were young. They were in their 20s and 30s. These are the real heroes, the ones who never came back home after the war. They loved their families and their country so much, they gave up their lives to protect them. They gave up the opportunity to become husbands, fathers, grandfathers, and we're here to honor them. They sacrificed everything for us. Please rise and bow your heads. Almighty God, be with us today as we come together this day to pay tribute to those who have served and those who are serving in our armed forces. We're grateful for their dedication and commitment and the countless selfless acts they've performed and the sacrifices of their families so that we might continue to enjoy freedom. Freedom has never been free and is paid for in blood and lives. We thank you for their service to our nation and are mindful of the fact that many of our comrades sacrificed their very lives on the fields, on the seas, and in the air where the battles of the war were fought. We remember those today with great reverence and thanksgiving. We thank you for our great land, for life, for liberty, and the freedom to pursue happiness that constitute the legacy of our forebears and the ongoing ideals of our republic. Continue thy blessings upon us as we can conduct this ceremony. Amen. Amen. Cover. We now welcome Mayor Bob Whalen to the podium. Mr. Mayor.
honored veterans, members of their extended families, Commander Moore and Commander Gabbard, distinguished guests. On behalf of the City of Laguna Beach, I welcome you to the Veterans Day celebration of 2021. We're here today to offer thanks and to pay our respects to our veterans for their service and their sacrifices. As we stand here at the Monument Point, we see all that our veterans have protected and preserved for us. We stand on free soil. We look out on an ocean that is safe for travel, and we stand under crystal blue skies without fear of invasion. But none of this happens by accident. It exists because of the courage, dedication, sacrifice, and bravery of millions of American men and women who have served their country. In a few weeks, we'll mark the 80th anniversary of Pearl Harbor, one of the darkest days in our military history. As President Roosevelt said, it's a day that will live in infamy. But rather than turn inward, the American people, and in particular our military men and women, rose up and saved the free world. Here at Monument Point, we stand a few feet away from our 9/11 memorial, beautifully executed by our local artist, George Dubin. Just over 20 years ago today, we lived through 9/11, where over 3,000 Americans lost their lives due to terrorist attacks. Once again, the American military responded in Iraq and Afghanistan to keep us safe from further terrorist attacks. After 20 years, we just concluded America's longest war in Afghanistan, where many American men and women fought and sacrificed for us. For the last 100 years, the American military has worked hard to protect us from harm, but also to protect millions around the world from violence, repression, and torture. As a country, we've not always agreed with how our military has been deployed or how long it should pursue a war, but we must all agree that those who stepped up to serve always deserve our thanks and our respect. So whether you served in Afghanistan, Iraq, Vietnam, Korea, or during World War II, thank you for what you've done to preserve our freedom. This is the third time that I've had the honor of speaking at our Veterans Day ceremony at Laguna Beach, and I'll close again by saying something that I've said twice before because I think it's important to hear. It's important to thank our veterans for their service, but we owe our veterans more than thanks for their past duty. We owe them support in the years after their service. This means help with education and job training, proper medical care for physical and mental health issues, and ensuring that they have a decent roof over their heads. We read too often about homeless veterans, disabled veterans, and unemployed veterans who are living on our streets, lacking in proper medical care for both physical and mental conditions, who are suffering the indignity of being unable to support themselves and their families with a productive job and a place to call home. So as we honor and celebrate our veterans today, let's remember throughout the year and that through our government, our churches, our local nonprofits, and our businesses, we must find ways to help our veterans by providing housing, medical care, education, job training, and the jobs they deserve. In the year ahead, I ask that each of you to find a way to lend a helping hand to a veteran who is struggling or just needing an extra boost to find his first track in life. It's a great honor to be here today, and please join me in saluting our veterans with a heartfelt round of applause. Welcome again to our distinguished guests. I also want to recognize VFW District 2 Commander James Stiles in attendance today. We thank Captain Josh Hornberg and his aircrew from the Air Force Mobility Wing 452 for the amazing flyover, and we thank our police, fire, and marine safety officers for standing watch over today's ceremony. We also want to thank our Scout Troop 35 for helping us set up, acting as escorts, and leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome to the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, our brave first responders, our Scout troops, friends, family, and all who gather here this morning to celebrate Veterans Day and the 75th anniversary of the formation of the post. As we do every year, we ask that our active duty military, retirees, veterans, and their families please rise so we can thank you for your selfless service. Thank you. This ceremony
could not have happened but for months of hard work by our celebration team. We want to thank American Legion Post 222 Auxiliary President Beth Johnson, Sandy St. John, and Sandy Worthy, American Legion Post 222 Commander Stephen Jepson, and the Vice Commander Richard Moore, our VFW Post Quartermaster Frank Daniel, and Arnie Silverman, our adjutant, for their months of tireless work. You will notice we had 3 women on the committee, and that's because we get something done. We thank Reggie from the Parks and Recreation Department, and this morning, and Dan Garza, my friend, for his help with social media, because he knows I know nothing about social media. He does. We're here this morning to thank our veterans and celebrate 7 years of community service by a group of selfless Americans who, even after spending years in personal danger to defend this experiment we call America, they felt together once again at home, long since the fury of conflict faded, to support the local community and their fellow veterans. They were and are patriots, and the city and this nation are better because of them. Now I'd like to invite American Legion Post Vice Commander Richard Moore to the podium.
Thank you, John. I'm Richard Moore, and I am representing the American Legion here in Laguna Beach. And that's my overview of all I'm going to be saying about the American Legion, because it is an important thing to say today, and I want to say it now. And that topic is that we are observing that it's the 100th anniversary of the tomb of the unknown soldier, 100 years. We're celebrating it exactly today, and that's in Arlington, Virginia. The tomb of the unknown soldier represents the thousands, yes, thousands, who died, of soldiers who died without a name, died with no name. And this comes about from the confusion and the carnage of war. So now on this 100th anniversary, let's take a moment of silence to honor these special veterans on Veterans Day. How do you say thank you to someone who has no name? So I'm going to offer a 10-second silence for these veterans also. Thank you so much about thinking about veterans on Veterans Day, and have a great day.
Thank you, Vice Commander Moore. We now invite American Legion Post Auxiliary President Beth Johnson to the podium.
Thank you, Commander Gabbard. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Beautiful day in Laguna. On behalf of the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 222, I would like to welcome everyone to today's Veterans Day program, and also the 75th anniversary of VFW Post 5868. I invite you all to celebrate and honor Americans veterans for their patriotism, love of country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good. To our men and women in uniform, past, present, and future, God bless you and thank you.
Thank you, Beth. We're now going to invite Supervisor Lisa Bartlett to the podium.
Good morning, everyone.
Supervisor Lisa Bartlett for the fabulous 5th District. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today as we gather to honor our nation's veterans for the many sacrifices they made to our country. Veterans Day is the time we come together to honor every soldier, airman, sailor, Marine, Coast Guardsman who answered the call to serve and engage in combat to defend our great nation. We celebrate Veterans Day on the anniversary of the armistice that ended World War I and began on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. It is a day marked with respect, honor, appreciation for all those who wore the uniform. Orange County is home to over 130,000 United States military veterans, which represents the third largest veteran population in Southern California. They span many generations, come from all different backgrounds, and we thank them from the bottom of our hearts. Many answered the call to serve decades ago and defended our country on foreign shores in Europe and in countries like Korea and Vietnam. Others are young men and women who recall more recent wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. For those who returned home bearing the mental and physical scars of war, we stand ready to support you in your time of need, whether that is a need for housing, mental health services, VA benefits, employment, transportation, education, etc. We can help. The county is a great resource for all of our veterans, and one of the things I did when I was county supervisor in 2014 was to have all the cities have a local veterans office right in their own city, so that veterans don't have to travel far to sign up for VA benefits and other things. Last year alone, Orange County Veterans Service Office served over 20,000 veterans and their dependents by assisting them with access to federal, state, and county benefits that they've earned. OC for Vets Behavioral Health Services offers comprehensive programs to help veterans get back on track and attain their goals. And I'd like to give a shout out, since we have Judge David Carter here in the audience. Judge Carter has been such a phenomenal advocate for the homeless, and every county has a homeless population, including homeless veterans. And through some of his efforts and his great leadership through being a judge, it really pushed Orange County. I think we accelerated our process to make sure that we addressed all of the issues relating to the homeless population by providing additional housing. We now have a number of veterans housing projects throughout the county. And one thing I'd like to mention too is we have our Be Well OC campus and serving a number of veterans there as well. So it really accelerated the ability for the county to provide those mental and behavioral health services, especially to the veterans who are suffering from PTSD coming back from war. And earlier this year, the Board of Supervisors unanimously approved allocating $20 million and also the land for a veteran cemetery right here in Orange County at Gypsum Canyon in Anaheim. Thank you. So would honor and respect the men and women who served our great country. And for a number of years, the closest veteran cemetery to us was out in Riverside. We didn't have one here in Orange County. And through the collective efforts of so many individuals and stakeholders, we were able to find county land to donate $20 million to start the process for site design and architectural renderings. And we now have all 34 cities in our county on board to support this effort. So it's a great community effort by everyone. Thank you. When I was preparing my comments for today's event, I thought a lot about the word veterans and what it means to be one. According to the Collins English Dictionary, the literal translation is, a veteran is someone who has served in the armed forces of their country, especially during a war. And while this may be true, the word veteran embodies so much more than this simple translation. Honor, courage, valor, respect, perseverance are all words that come to mind when I hear the word veteran. They are steadfast in their resolve to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies and stand for something far greater than themselves. They are proud Americans who are dedicated to the principles which made our country free. Throughout our history, veterans have fought and died to ensure our freedom and protect our way of life. We can never repay the debt of gratitude to those who are with us today and those who have fallen. We will never forget their service to our great nation, and we will be forever grateful for their courage, bravery, and dedication to our country. In closing, I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate VFW Post 5868 on its 75th anniversary and would like to present them with a certificate of recognition expressing the gratitude and appreciation for all they have done to support our veterans. I'd like Mayor Whalen to come up and join me to present this to VFW Post 5868.
Gentlemen, join us up here. Yeah. Hey, Pete. Pete. Run past Ronnie. There we go. Thank you. We have challenge points. So I want to get you this. It's a VFW challenge point. You're touching out for challenge points to short term and justify.
Thank you. I'm very honored to receive the challenge point today. And thank you so much for being here. It's a very important day for the community and certainly for our veterans. And God bless you and God bless America.
We now invite Mayor Whalen to the podium again. Thank you.
Well, it's my honor on behalf of the entire Laguna Beach City Council that is sitting here in the first row to offer our proclamation that we adopted 2 meetings ago on behalf of the VFW Post celebrating your 75th. And we've all heard about supply chain issues. I got a little supply chain issue this morning because the proclamation is sitting on my desk at home. But I promised John to you, so congratulations.
On behalf of the VFW Post, thank you. We now invite Commander Stiles to the podium.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Can you hear us? Thank you. I have a proclamation that to the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 5868, from the previous Commander-in-Chief, Hal Roche of the VFW. I'll go ahead and start by reading his letter that he wrote. Here's a picture of the previous Commander-in-Chief for the VFW. It is an honor to congratulate you upon the occasion of the 75th anniversary of your post. I send my sincere thanks and gratitude to all members of the VFW Post 5868 for your outstanding record of service to the community, to veterans, service members, and their families, and to our nation for so many years. The members of the VFW Post 5868 are a pillar of support for the Laguna Beach, California. Year after year, you have provided superb public service to others. You have provided an invaluable network of service to those who have borne the battle, as well as to their families. And you advance the health and well-being of those who bear the burden of defending our nation and our way of life. Your continued devotion to protecting and upholding American ideals serve as an inspiration for all to follow. And it is a testament to our motto, no one does more for the veterans. My heartfelt congratulations on reaching this landmark. Well done, sincerely. Harold Hal Roach II, Commander-in-Chief. Thank you. Veterans of Foreign Wars, United States of America. Diamond Jubilee Award presented to Laguna Beach Post 5868, Laguna Beach, California. Mustered February 17, 1946. In special commemoration and grateful recognition of its 75 years of exceptional service to the nation and its veterans throughout 7.5 decades of dedicated support for programs and purposes of the veterans of foreign wars. In witness thereof, we have unto set our hands and the official seal of the veteran of foreign wars of the United States, the 17th day of February, 2021. Commander-in-Chief Hal Roach and Adjutant General Ken Jones. Thank you. First, our commander.
On behalf of VFW, thank you. So I think what we're going to do is continue on with the program, and once Congresswoman Steele gets here, we'll go through her proclamation as well, or certificate of recognition. I now ask that Adjutant Arnie Silverman come to the stage.
Good morning, Laguna Beach. Good morning. From that old movie. What a terrific day to do this celebration. Well, I tell you, it's perfect. It's like we prayed for it. It is an honor and a privilege to introduce our keynote speaker, a true war hero and a leader of the community here in Laguna Beach. Retired, thank you, retired Marine Colonel Charles Quilter. Charlie, who has been a member of our VFW post for over 25 years, enlisted in the Marine Reserve at age 17, and would go on to serve on active duty and reserve duty for the next 43 years. I complained over my 2 years. Much of his career was as an aviator, flying the F-4 Phantom as well as the A-4 Skyhawk and the OV-10 Bronco. He was deployed 5 times in various conflicts, including the Dominican Republic crisis of 1965, and 1966, and Vietnam, where he flew over 250 combat missions and became a flight commander. He later became a fighter attack squadron leader at Marine Corps Air Station in El Toro. As a colonel, he held several other responsibilities, including heading up all the Marines held historians. Excuse me. He served in Operation Desert Storm, the Bosnia conflict, and lastly in Iraq, where he was both a senior aviator in the theater as well as at age 61, the oldest Marine present. I'm smiling because he'll be the first to tell you that was his most dubious honor as a Marine. He's been awarded a number of decorations, including the Legion of Merit and 17 air medals. I think he's wearing some of them now. But Charlie is most proud of serving with the Marines in combat, where they were awarded 2 presidential and 2 Navy unit citations. Community-wise, he and his family have been strong supporters of the Susie Q Senior Center, the No Square Theater, the Laguna Canyon Foundation, UCI, sorry Trojan fans, and the proposed moving of the Flying Leatherneck Aviation Museum back to Orange County and El Toro. Now Vice President, he was president of the Patriots Day Parade for 11 years. As to his other life, Charlie is a man of all seasons. He holds a PhD in history of use from UCI and has written several books on Marine Corps history. With a lifetime spent as a Marine, he has a number of unique stories and perspectives about Marines to share with us today. That said, I proudly give you one of my own personal heroes, Colonel Charles Quilter. Put that hat on.
Well, good morning, everyone. Let's see if I can get this to work. How's that? Better? It's an honor to speak to you all today, and I'm especially honored to be introduced by Arnie Silverman, who is a combat veteran of the Korean War and as a member of the 25th Infantry Division. When I was a young guy, this holiday was called Veterans Day because it was called Armistice Day, rather, and it celebrated the end in 1918 of the bloodiest war in human history. And it was so bad that everyone thought it would be the war to end all wars. Only it wasn't. It was just the beginning. So today, the holiday is called Veterans Day. And we gather to celebrate and thank our veterans for their service to our nation. Over the past 80 years, our nation has sent its armed forces into harm's way in countless places. Just to think about after the Second World War, China, Berlin, the Korean War, where 37,000 of our veterans died, Lebanon in 1958, the Dominican Republic crisis of 1965-66. Of course, nobody remembers those, do they? Then Vietnam, where we lost 58,000. And I'm happy to be here with a number of Vietnam veterans. Then we had Lebanon again, Grenada, Panama, Desert Storm, Bosnia, Somalia, Afghanistan, and Iraq, plus a bunch of other places that very few people have heard of. In a way, our organization, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, exists to preserve the memory of the service of our veterans in these faraway places. And our numbers diminish. 40 years ago, 18% of Americans were veterans. Today, it's just 7%. In a few months, I will be 80 years old, and I'm acutely aware that as a veteran, I am a survivor. In Vietnam, I lost 25 friends, and that was a significant percentage of the people I knew as a young man. And on a day like today, I think about them. Yes, I know it's not Memorial Day, but I can't help it. Those that were lost in combat, and I lost a few more in Desert Storm and Iraq, were filled with the expectations that they one day might grow as old as I am today. And as Arnie mentioned, I had the dubious honor of being the oldest Marine to serve in Iraq at age 61. And yet, somehow, I survived, and I was so lucky. And I think if you were to ask other veterans here, they would say the same thing. Millions of Americans gave up their personal freedoms to serve in the armed forces. Each of us swore to support and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and further to carry out all lawful orders given to us by our superiors to the best of our ability. Nowhere in that oath that I and all the others took was there any mention of any political ideology, party, or religion, or any person, or any ism. The Constitution essentially calls upon us to do the right thing. Consider, if you will, the Marine Corps motto, Semper Fidelis, always faithful. Always faithful to the Constitution, faithful to we, the people of the United States, faithful to our fellow Marines, and to those above us, and to those under our command. The oath commands us to do the right thing. It bothers me that there are some who do not realize that the American military is not political. In fact, it is against the Uniform Code of Military Justice for active service members to publicly participate in political events. It is a long-standing tradition that service members do not discuss politics among themselves. I'm still close with a number of the guys I served with in Vietnam, and here almost 60 years later, I still don't have any idea of what their political viewpoints are. That's how strong this tradition is. And what I'm aiming at here is that the armed forces of the United States ultimately receive their orders from the civilian National Command Authority, which is headed by the President as Commander-in-Chief, who directs us in operations authorized by Congress. Decisions to deploy our military forces are made by politicians, not by military leaders. As a nation, we are fortunate this fall, and if that were ever to change, I think it would mean the end of our 240 or 45-year experiment with democracy. And that would be a terrible thing, my friends. You hear a lot about social engineering nowadays. I hope you will not be too shocked to learn that the United States Armed Forces have been one of the greatest experiments in social engineering in the history of humankind. Part of this grew out of the unnecessary loss of lives outside of direct combat. Okay, one of my fellow aviators. And when General George Washington gathered up his group of rebels to fight the greatest empire on earth, he knew that he was going to lose more people from sickness and disease than he would in direct combat. And he did the radical thing of requiring all of his soldiers in the Continental Army to be vaccinated. It was a radical new procedure. It had only been in use for a short time, but everyone knew that it worked. Even so, he lost half of his troops to sickness and disease, and that was also the case in the U.S. Civil War, where more people died of sickness and disease and of wounds than died in actual combat. So the lesson learned here is that a healthy army wins wars. And beginning with the First World War, we started receiving massive inoculations. Before I went to Vietnam, I was issued one of these. You veterans may recognize this. It's a shot record. And look at all of the diseases it went against. There's smallpox, cholera, yellow fever, polio, typhus, typhoid, influenza, And, but in Vietnam, we lost very few people due to disease. So let's get in the Wayback Machine and go back to when Colonel Quilter was Private Quilter in 1960. And at the beginning of your training, as any veteran here will tell you, you go through a very thorough physical examination, the details of which, for reasons of good taste, I am not going to get into. But imagine, if you will, a line of 50 or so nearly naked Marines. Or if you don't care to imagine that, please don't. You've gone through this physical examination. Now you're proceeding through a line, an assembly line of Navy corpsmen armed with all sorts of needles to receive a half a dozen injections against all of these dread diseases. And I got to tell you, there was no whining. There was no opting out. Think about it. Imagine for a minute if a recruit stood up to his drill instructor and said, "Sir, the private does not wish to receive an inoculation. Sir, it may harm the private, sir." Well, you know what private is going to be harmed later on in that operation. But vaccination measures gave us an edge in combat, especially in World War II. You hear a lot about penicillin, for example, being one of the winners of the Second World War. It gave us a leg up on our opponents by reducing infection among those we were reducing infection among those who were wounded. Another piece of social engineering came after the Second World War. The GI Bill brought to millions of service members a chance to go to college and to get professional qualifications. These were opportunities that few got to have in earlier years, and it helped create a great middle class in this nation. Another landmark piece of social engineering took place in 1948 when President Truman desegregated the armed forces of the United States. President Truman himself was a combat veteran of the First World War, understood how important this was. Now, most of these things happened in my lifetime. I've never heard anyone ever say that any of these things were bad. On the contrary, I'd say they are manifestations of a nation doing the right thing, a nation being great. Did we always do it perfectly? Always get it right? No. But doing the right thing remains our ideal and goal, always. Racism. Yeah, it's a real thing. And soon after I enlisted in the Marine Corps, the Corps started to come to grips with this issue, which it had not paid a whole lot of attention to up to then. My drill instructor, Staff Sergeant Ori Montgomery, whose accent reflected a hard-scrabble upbringing in the South, informed me and my fellow maggots, that was one of the nicer words that he used to describe us, said that the only thing we really had to know about this subject was the fact that Marines, United States Marines, only came in one color, green. And I wish the solution to this had been that simple, but his message was, do the right thing. So are we doing the right thing for our veterans? On Tuesday, I got my annual physical at the VA clinic over in Laguna Hills. The care I got there is good, in my opinion. It's not perfect. No human endeavor is, but it is pretty good. And we are the lucky ones here. But is that true everywhere else? For many who served in combat, it's a different story. In Vietnam, we perfected the art of rapid medical evacuation by helicopter. We learned that if a wounded man could be gotten to a field hospital within an hour, the so-called golden hour, he had a much better chance of survival. In earlier wars, many would have died from grievous wounds. Now, they live. They often live with lasting disabilities, both physical and mental, and these require ongoing help. Now that leads me to another thing that really bothers me. I find the number of homeless veterans to be intolerable. And with respect to Supervisor Bartlett, more than anyone else in California, there is one individual who served in Vietnam as a Marine and was also grievously wounded, who has done the most to solve this problem. From his federal bench, the Honorable David O. Carter has compelled cities and counties to live up to their lawful obligations that Congress and the state legislature have established to fight the problem. Judge Carter is an honorable man in every sense of the word, and he has my utmost admiration, and I salute him. I'm happy you're here, Dave. I'm happy you're here today. There's still lots to do, especially in underserved areas around the country, especially in rural areas and small cities. Once in place, the VA system is good at delivering health care. It's efficient, and it works. It could be a model for civilian health care as well, but maybe I'm just dreaming here. As Arnie mentioned, I'm a Marine. Old Marines, by the way, don't like being called ex-Marines. Yesterday, as any Marine can tell you, was the 246th birthday of the Marine Corps, and I'm astonished to see so many clear-headed Marines here this morning. Eleanor Roosevelt once famously said of Marines, "The Marines I have seen around the world have the cleanest bodies, the filthiest minds, the highest morale, the lowest morals of any group of animals I have ever seen." Thank God for the U.S. Marine Corps. I've often wondered how she determined the cleanest bodies were. But I would dispute one of her assertions. Mrs. Roosevelt was right about 3 of her 4 statements about Marines, but she was wrong about the lowest morals part. And what do I mean here? If you define moral as something as doing the right thing, then she was wrong. Marines are held to high standards of integrity, fidelity, and loyalty. And by loyalty, I mean up and down, especially to those that are placed under our care and our protection. It requires honor, courage, and commitment, and very often doing the right thing means doing the hardest thing. This tradition spills over into civilian life, and sometimes in weird ways. One Marine tradition is that the senior Marine present always eats last. You make sure that those under you are served first. And this drives my family crazy, or family dinners, because they keep waiting for me to get my food. And I said, no, you have to eat first. And they, come on, Pop, will you just eat? Sit down and we're going to be fine. Sometimes, though, it works out differently. Once in Iraq, I was with a small team of Marines near the ancient site of Babylon, and we had some MREs. Some say they're Marines meals rejected by everyone, but that's wrong. They're far better than the sea rations that we ate in Vietnam. Anyway, one box we had a carton of them, one box kept getting looked at and tossed up the line until finally it reached to me with the comment from the youngest Marine, "I'm not eating any foreign stuff." Well, you didn't say stuff, but you know what I meant. And so I looked at it, and it was chicken tetrazzini. And let me tell you, chicken tetrazzini heated on an engine block is really good. Okay, that's when I say doing the right thing is often the hardest thing. Consider our recent withdrawal from Afghanistan. Marines have been there for 20 years, and then it was over. There was no victory, and some ask, was it worth it? To finish today, I want to read the words of General David Berger, the 38th Commandant of the Marine Corps, who, along with the Marine Corps Senior Sergeant Major, wrote to all Marines immediately after Kabul fell. By the way, General Berger himself is a veteran of combat in Afghanistan, and he wrote on the last day of the evacuation from Kabul, Marine, and I apologize for reading this. Marines, as each of us tries to comprehend the speed and scope of events in Afghanistan this week, some may be struggling with a simple question. Was it all worth it? We see videos and photos and we read stories that bring back memories, some of us, and it becomes intensely personal. We value human life and we want to believe what the Marines have done in Afghanistan made a difference. We both believe, without question, that your service was meaningful, powerful, and important. You answered the call to serve, proudly carrying the torch of so many generations of Marines before you. You put the good of others before yourself. You fought to defend your country, your family, your friends, and your neighbors. You fought to prevent terror from returning to our shores. You fought for the liberty of young Afghan girls, women, boys, and men who want the same individual freedoms that we enjoy as Americans. You fought for the Marines to your left and the Marines to your right. You never let them down. You never, ever gave up. You lived with purpose, with intention, and whether you realize it or not, you set an example for subsequent generations of Marines and Americans. By living our core values of honor, courage, and commitment, was it worth it? Yes. Does it still hurt? Yes. Since 2001, Marines have served honorably and courageously to bring peace to the people of Afghanistan. You should take pride in your service. It gives meaning to the sacrifice of all Marines who served, including those whose sacrifice was ultimate. And that, my friends, is what Marines are all about. It is what the armed forces of the United States are all about. It is what our veterans are all about. The underlying message is, take care of each other. Take care of those in your responsibility. Do the right thing. Thanks for listening.
With that, we're going to continue on with the program. Charlie's tall. The 1st Marine Division Band will now play the Armed Forces Medley. We ask that the service members stand during the playing of their service song, and we'll remind all Marines that in accordance with the new CMC guidance, we stand at the position of attention for the Marines hymn, and we sing the first verse. With that, that's our... Thank you, Staff Sergeant Elliott. Thank you, Warriors, for making this a great day. I think what we're going to do is continue to post or retire the colors, and then I saw Congresswoman Steele's representative running towards the back, so hopefully she'll be up soon. But let's retire the colors, and then we'll get started. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as we retire the colors in the benediction. Honor Guard, retire the colors. Present arms. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the benediction. Staff Chaplain.
I'm not that tall. Please uncover and bow your heads. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, we ask that your blessing be bestowed on our friends and our loved ones. We thank you for this opportunity to share with them this special occasion to honor our veterans. Bless and protect those who even now guard the gates of freedom. Heavenly Father, keep their families in your kind care. Bless them and comfort them in their time of sorrow. And let us be reminded of life, liberty, justice, freedom, and democracy, that we may be ever grateful to you for those veterans who gave so much for our country. We ask your blessing upon this program, and when we depart, grant us your continued fellowship that makes abiding peace. We ask this in your holy name. Amen. Amen. Cover.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming today. We want to thank all of our elected officials and dignitaries for attending this special event, and we thank you to the City of Laguna Beach for allowing us to meet here today. The 1st Marine Division Band will be performing for the next 10 minutes. Please stay and listen. As soon as the Congresswoman gets here, we'll do her proclamation. We wish everyone safe travels home, and we look forward to seeing everyone at next year's Patriots Day Parade. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Congresswoman Steele is here, so if we could all take a seat for a second. Nice to see
Hi everyone, this is Michelle Steele, your Congresswoman, and sorry I'm a little late. I just drove down from Seal Beach, and you know what? Traffic was really bad, but I'm glad that I'm here. Thank you for your service, because you know what? I have to really go every city, and I have to really thank all the veterans who served and who are serving, because my both parents fled from North Korea during the Korean War and from communism. And you know what? Without American military service, there's no way, because both of them met. Came from different cities of North Korea, but they met in South after, they during the Korean War. So if American military service was not there, there's no way I was born. So I am very, very grateful. And my son-in-law, actually, that's the reason that actually I brought my mom's book. She was 18 during the Korean War. She wrote about her story, that how she endured that Korean War and what happened. So if anybody wants that, then you know what, I leave two here. If you, more than two wants that, I have my staff. Kim, you wanna wave your hand? So I have my son-in-law there who is in Navy, and he just went last year, September, for deployment, and he came back. His son was 1 year old when he left. When he came back, he was 2. My daughter tried to make him practice daddy, daddy when he came back so he can greet his dad. He thought it was name. When he came back, he was calling his dad, daddy, daddy, but don't come near me because I don't know you. It took a whole month to get used to it. But you know what? Not just your sacrifice trying to protect our freedom, but you know what? All the family members that they sacrifice their lives too, because when you serve, and I'm just so grateful. I think our administration has to work better because we lost 13 young soldiers that without any reason, with the reason because we made a wrong move without any planning. So when they protect us, I think we have to protect them too, means that our military services uniformed officers. So I am so grateful that all of you are here. I'm glad that I made it. Where can you want to stand better than this kind of park, most beautiful city in the whole world? And I am so honored representing you in this country. First generation came in here when I was 19, and America
gave me opportunity, and I'm so grateful for this country. And when I stood in front of Capitol, I had teary eyes with an accent, how you get elected. But you know what? I want to just bring out my common sense and let's work together. And thank you, and thank you. I just brought this certificate here. So Laguna Beach Veterans of 14 Wars Post 5868. Who's coming out to get it?
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our ceremony. Thank you for coming.